Frankly, as an insurance company, a lot of times it's really hard to know what's going on under the hood. So our pitch is to deliver a platform that really helps with data to solve these three pillars. And by using that, we also create a great customer experience to the insured at the other side of things to help them, fix their problem as fast as possible and on the best way possible.
Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Just sit back, relax, and learn from the leaders of today. It's a journey. Each one is different, unique, inspiring. Let's get started. This episode is powered by J Ventures, a community-driven VC fund in Silicon Valley, in partnership with Lomitech, and sponsored by Homeward Ventures, Hippo Insurance, Upwest, Hillel at Stanford, Leap, and Birthright Excel, and in media partnership with CTech. Welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. Today we're going to be talking to Michael Krikheli, Co-Founder and CTO of 5 Sigma, an InsurTech company helping insurers optimize claims handling processes through data. Previously, Michael was leading R&D teams within the Prime Minister's office. He worked on multiple groundbreaking projects, including one that has received the Israel Defense Prize. Michael is a data science and math enthusiast with a BSc and MSc in mathematics from Bar Ilan University. Hey, Michael Krikheli, welcome to 20-Minute Leaders. How are you?
Great, Michael. 2 Michaels at the same call. This is great.
2 Michaels on the same call. Exactly. I'm really excited to talk to you about your own journey and what you're doing today as co-founder and CTO of 5 Sigma. You've had some pretty great announcements over the last few weeks with some exciting funding rounds to continue on your mission. And I'm always curious about people's journeys and, with the background primarily in mathematics all the way to now working in the claims industries and B2B SaaS. I'm excited to hear a little bit about that and your entrance to this world. You also served in the Prime Minister's office. You're a recipient amongst others on your team for the Israel Defense Prize, which I was also honored to be a part of a couple of years back on my own service. So 2 Michaels, and we share some other things, and I know how meaningful that is as well. So yeah, I can't wait to hear about the great work that you're doing. Tell me a little bit about you, about your interests and how you perceive sort of your entrepreneurial journey.
Well, I was always an interested guy at tons of things, and I was always kind of a geek, and I really started as a math geek. So math was really my thing when I was growing up. So frankly, like computers, I didn't really care about or didn't like. I wasn't one of these geeks that had broken computers in their garages. I was like solving equations. That's what I used to do. And then somewhere I did my bachelor's degree during my high school days, and then the Prime Minister's office opportunity came into play as my role in the army. And really there is where I dived into software, right? This was really where I learned software. But what we actually learned there is not even software necessarily, but how to use technology to solve operational problems. That's like, and this was the greatest school ever, I think, to do that. I think it was an amazing pressure cooker for 19-year-old guy from Bat Yam. I was like most of my days overwhelmed.
Wow.
And but the thing is, like, you get used to it, right? So then when someone comes and say, hey, please solve this impossible problem, you need to do that by the end of this month and it has to work, you kind of get used to it. So this was kind of the rhythm of how our things went there. And I think that a lot of what I'm doing now and a lot of what we're doing with 5 Sigma is bringing that mentality of finding an operational problem, being geeks and like loving technology and mapping technology to solve these operational problems. And I think that this is the best way to do things in the world. A lot of things are coming from just tech. And we were really wanted to dive into, learn a world that we knew nothing about, like insurance claims. Like I didn't even know that something like that exists. And then, and then, a few years later, come and say, hey, you're doing it a little bit wrong. Let's do it better together. This is the best. I think the best way to describe entrepreneurs, right? You just deep dive into a problem. Sometimes you know something about it, many times you don't, and just use everything you know and your skills to do something about it.
I love it. I love the mentality. I couldn't agree more about the experience. Both, the entrance to it and the overwhelming nature of it, but also getting used to it and not making it a part of just the school, but making it a part of the mentality of who we are and how we think through problems and following with the excitement of diving into something you know literally nothing about. And often I think a lot of people agree that the real ingenuity comes from those that don't know about the industry and are coming to with fresh new eyes. Tell me a little bit about insurance claims and how you perceived the problem that you're then solving with Five Sigma.
Yeah, sure. So, and we can talk about the journey. We had different words for it, but now we can articulate it very crisp. I think that we are solving a problem that is called claims leakage. Claims leakage is basically the difference between this process, the optimal process of handling claims, right? So how would you want to handle claims as an insurance company or as a user or as, a broker or as someone that's part of this journey, which is very complicated across multiple vendors and what's going on today in the world, right? What's the reality of handling claims nowadays? And there's a huge gap between these two. And this gap is called, the financial problem of this is called claims leakage. And I think that as everything in insurance, this is a huge problem to solve. Right, it is estimated at around $100 billion a year in the US only.
Wow.
So this is our playground, right? This is the value that can be created. And then our thesis is that a lot of what the problems are not really about bad mentality or bad employees or people, but rather outdated technology at the core, right? And our pitch is that we can create a core system, a core claim system that's based on data and that leverages data in three main ways. One is automating away a lot of stuff that no one needs to take care of. The other is helping with decision making because there's so many decisions to be made throughout this process. And then lastly, showing everyone what's going on in the organization, right? This is the centerpiece of where your exposures are and where your entire payout essentially is and where your risks are. And frankly, as an insurance company, a lot of times it's really hard to know what's going on under the hood. So our pitch is to deliver a platform that really helps with data to solve these three pillars. And by using that, we also create a great customer experience to the insured at the other side of things to help them, fix their problem as fast as possible and on the best way possible.
What are some of the challenges associated with this? So obviously, anytime anybody wants to tackle $100 billion market gap and anything that has to do with regulations, let alone insurance, a lot of challenges arise. What are some of those challenges?
Yeah, I think that the challenges are varied, right? So insurance tech, the technology right now in older insurance companies, right? There are a lot of already deployed systems, and there's a lot of ecosystem around these systems. So looking into, hey, I'm gonna replace your claim software. a lot of both on the IT side and on the claim side really look at that and say, "Oh my God, but this is like the heart of my operation. What are you talking about?" But right now, InsurTech is of course a huge deal across the world, right? Great companies like Lemonade and Hippo and Root that they're created essentially a new way of insurance and with an entirely um, an entirely new stack. Now other companies say, "Oh, okay, so A, it's possible, and B, I need to do something about it, and I need to do something about it from the core." And this is where we come in and say, "Hey, this is the way to go, right? We can do it fast, we can do it in a SaaS way, an iterative way, and we can create so much value during that process." And I always tell everyone is that we did a lot and we're just getting started, right? So this $100 billion problem is not solved yet, but we're really excited on exploring more and more of it.
Right. Now, Five Sigma, very quickly, where does the name come from? Does it have a meaning with what you're doing?
Yeah, not really. So
Okay.
basically, it comes from high certainty in physics. Uh, and we were five founders when we started. So it was a long discussion that ended up with Five Sigma. Uh, which was um, which was great. And when we began, we really wanted to. We're really passionate about data, so we're looking at problems that data can help with, right? So data and data science can help with, and then studying this industry, we said, "Oh, Five Sigma uh, sounds academic enough." So it kind of worked for us.
Right. I think that the whole concept of tackling a problem like you're tackling is something that makes me excited as a future entrepreneur. Something that just I can feel the energy resonating from you, and then how you're excited about just not even the financial aspects of it, or but just the impact that you can have on such a huge problem that you're facing. I think it's really incredible. Now, as your CTO of a rising startup that is growing quickly and with some incredible investors and incredible partners, how is your role shaping in your eyes? How is your role transitioning, from just co-founding the startup up till now? And how do you prepare yourself for what's to come?
Wow, that's a great question. And I think that, startup companies are, as you look at them throughout their timelines, right? They are just different companies. They have the same kind of vision and there's the same goal. But, when we started off on the couch in my living room, we were very different than a year ago. And now we're kind of building towards, all right, so how is the organization going to look like? And I think that what's really unique about founders is that they kind of do what's needed, right? So they just pick things from the floor and say, all right, so we don't have that. Let's someone do something about it. And we had a lot of that when we started. And, I was always very on the tech side on one hand, but also very customer facing. And I still am. I really like to do demos. I like to talk to customers. I really like to get their feedback. And then, say, all right, so, we started off with this is the vibe that I'm getting. We had
Right.
kind of nothing, but no, this is the
Yes.
feelings that I'm getting from our calls. And now we're really in a place where we're growing as an organization, and we are hiring everything basically. But then this is where we kind of want to build an organization that scales, and my job really changes towards all right. You're basically need to manage that team, and rather than just doing demos. I will
Right.
definitely do some of them, but that will not be my main role anymore.
obviously your work now is quite different from the work you did in the Prime Minister's office and before that. Where do you find your own inspiration or your own excitement within what you're doing? What is it about the day to day that really gets you up in the morning and makes you so excited about what you're doing?
I think it really boils down to the team that you're working with. The day to day, I think, is 100% the team. Whether you're working on something that that sucks, or you're working on the most exciting task in the world, if you have your coworkers and that you love, working with, drinking coffee with, drinking beer after work with. I think that this is the excitement that comes along with, all right, so everything that we're doing really comes with a lot of learning because I'm a first time entrepreneur. So, like I always say to everyone, I'm a co founder the first time. Basically, I'm doing everything and I know nothing. So I'm always kind of learning, So I always learn new things about myself and about the company and about what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve. And this is exciting for me.
Now, if you go back a little bit, before the army, before Five Sigma, obviously, who are you as a person? Who's Michael as a person? What are you really curious about? What drives your fascination in the day to day?
Yeah, I think that I really love challenges. I really love to do hard things, and this came to math when I was a kid, and it came to I was playing the piano for a while, so I really pushed myself really hard to do better and better at everything, right? Whether it's piano or sports or math, and I was always kind of running towards a challenge. This is, I think, how I saw things. And I was really a geek, so I really liked solving problems and learning things all the time.
Did you know that entrepreneurship is going to be your route, or that creating a company is going to be your route? Because I also know a lot of people that are they're engineers, they're mathematicians. Being an entrepreneur and being a co-founder isn't their top priority. They're more excited to be in the weeds and the needles and actually going and being mostly hands-on.
Yeah, frankly, I had no idea. If you would tell me that I'm gonna be an entrepreneur, I would laugh at you. Probably like I don't know, 7 years ago, I kind of stumbled into it. I was just one day I was at my couch with a great group of people, and we said kind of, all right, let's do something, and and then it came. Everything came after that.
What's the most surprising thing that you learned, about this journey that perhaps you didn't know back then that maybe, me or my friends don't know yet before we go on our own journey?
Yeah, I think that a lot of what I've learned is the power of community. There's a huge community of entrepreneurs uh, everywhere, but in Tel Aviv especially. And what you're doing and hearing these stories and then talking to people that were there can really do two things. One is help you with making decisions, but even more importantly, help you not feel stupid and not feel alone and not feel a failure. Which is especially in the beginning, it's kind of, if you don't talk to anyone, it really feels this way all the time,
100%, 100%. I think that the journey is an exciting one, and I have to say that one thing that I get energized with this conversation. It's the way that you perceive it and sort of the excitement that you bring with it, because obviously there's a ton of issues and a ton of problems that everybody faces, from HR to the team that is the most important, to the actual technology and the problem, but the excitement with which you bring with it is just exciting. Now, if I were to ask any of your co-founders, employees, investors, who Michael really is, what are some words that would come to mind?
I think that they will say that I'm kind of interested in doing a lot of things. So I'm really not like, all right, I'm gonna be the best developer out there. So I'll do marketing one day and sales one day and this kind of thing. Hopefully they'll say that I'm nice. I hope. I don't know. And I think that they also say that I'm always like a pusher, so I'm pushing forward. And I guess that I'm also kind of calm. Sometimes too
I can
much.
see that.
Yeah, sometimes too much. And there's a good balance between us in the group, to wake me up sometimes when
love
you
it.
need to go wake up.
Wonderful. Michael, thank you very, very much. This was so enjoyable. Best of luck with Five Sigma, solving a very, very important issue. And I'm excited to see where the company is headed. And thank you for sharing this time with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you
you very
so much, Michael. I had so much fun.
Thank you.